Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Today we're working on something a little different. We're working on a 2016 Scion TC, and we're going to do front brake pads on it. We're going to check and inspect the rotors. Typically, I recommend replacing the rotors or at least having them cut, but we're going to take a look at them if they're not in too bad a shape. He's not experiencing any pulsation or anything of that nature, so we're going to see if we can get away with just reusing the rotors, but at least you'll get the good idea of what we're doing here whenever you follow along with us on how to do a front brake job. And I'm going to clean up like the hardware and everything as well. So without further ado, we'll get you set up and get this going. Okay, so we're sitting down here. We're going to go ahead and tear off these front wheels. I've already raised the vehicle and I have it on a portable car lift that I invested in. If you're interested in seeing a video on that, check out my channel. It's for the 7,000 pound VVOR car lift, and I give a quick little product review on that. It's come in handy so far. And so if you need to, if you're just using jacks and jack stands to do this, it may be a recommended idea to go ahead and loosen up these lug nuts while you still have some of the weight of the vehicle on the wheel, because they can be pretty tight. Today we have the luxury of air tools, so we're going to go ahead and zip these off. These should be 21 millimeters if I'm not mistaken, and they are. Ow! 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 And we'll be doing a tire rotation as well on this, so we're going to go ahead and just move this to the back right now. Alright, let's take a look and see what we're looking at here. We got your caliper, your brake rotor here. We're going to go ahead and see if we can turn the wheel out here to give us a little bit more room to do this. Might have to turn the key first. I'm going to bring up a little closer view here. I got the wheel turned out, just makes it a little easier to get in here. We got your caliper. These I believe are going to be 14 millimeter, and we also have another one down here. And then to get the actual whole bracket off, these I believe are going to be 17 millimeter, and there's also going to be one down here as well. It's in the frame there. So we'll go ahead and start working on that and get that torn off and see how much we can do with the air tools. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the top one first. See if we can zip that off easily. And they are 17s. All right, sit them in a safe place. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and compress in that caliper a little bit. And you could do that by getting like a screwdriver or pry bar inside here. This will hopefully just give us the that way it just comes off a little easier. There we go. Okay. So went ahead and got my 14 millimeter, I believe is what it is. We're gonna take these off real quick here. Probably do this easier with hand tools, but it's a little quicker if you got the pneumatic. Them in a dish. Okay. Then you can take your caliper off and it should just slide off like this, and then your bracket will come off. I'm going to go ahead and support this with one of these hooks. There we go. And take a closer inspection at your brake rotor. Probably recommend replacing them, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's still quite a bit of thickness left to them, so, and he's not getting any pulsation, and so we're just going to pad slap it. But you guys do you know, whatever is best for you guys. So, but Next thing we're going to do is go inside the garage and clean up the hardware and the bracket for the brake pads. Okay, we're inside the garage now. We're going to go ahead and clean up the bracket here for the caliper. This is probably your most important part of the brake job you're going to do. And these were, as you can see, they were pretty much spanked. So this part is extremely important because this is what keeps the brakes working the way they should be. So the first thing I like to do is just get it set up here in the vise. This gives you easier ability to work on it. And then we can pop out these little stainless steel hardware because we're going to be replacing them with the new ones. The car's in pretty darn good shape. I think he said he has 70,000 miles, I think he said on it. So, really like Toyota. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this for optimal viewing for you guys. All right, so the way I like to clean this up is I like to use this braided wheel here on a grinder, and then go ahead and clean up these mating surfaces where the hardware goes, because this tends to rust and get debris in here, and that will cause your pads to lock up and wear unevenly, and also cause rust jacking. So noise alert. Right, that looks nice and clean. I don't even need the file. I actually had a file ready to go in case it was going to be too bad. Alright, actually switch this around, get in there a little better at this angle and some of these grooves here. Okay, perfect. Now, make sure you guys are still seeing what you need to be seeing here. Work on the hardware here. So these look pretty snug, so we're going to clean them up real good for them, because these should slide pretty freely. Oh yeah, so the bottom one here, closest to you guys, is going to be the one with the little rubber end on there for dampening. I just like to push this boot down a little bit and then give it a twist. There we go. They don't look too bad actually, but we are going to clean them out. Let me get some brake clean here and get those cleaned out for them. Switch over here. And you can use other stuff to do this. It's just kind of my method. Oops.
Yeah, we're doing a 150th celebration in August.
Okay. I like to use these brushes, kind of go in there and carefully clean out the... Okay, perfect. Dump this into a container here. Okay, and then we'll clean up the brake hardware here. I get some paper towels.
Pressure wash the torches and stain them. Good time.
Okay, let's go ahead and make sure I can still see you guys are in frame. Perfect. Clean these off real good. Now if these sliders are rusty at all, you can actually run them through like a wire wheel as well. They actually look pretty good. I don't see any reason for concern. Rubbers are in good shape. Okay, now we're gonna clean up the other one here.
Cornfield, the cow pasture, the baseball field, the cemetery. We're only 6 miles from the outlet. You should probably do it from here.
Clean up the other one. Make sure that little, I guess you consider it like a bushing, is in good shape. All right, they look good. So now we can go ahead and apply some grease. This is, I like to use this brake lubricant, silicone, high temp. Work it in real good. And I like to go all the way up to the top here to help seal it good. So you don't want too much. There's kind of a happy medium with this. You don't want too much, but you don't want it not to be lubricated either. All right, this one here goes in here. So that's the way you want it to move. Burp any air out of it. Now we can, I like to put down in these little grooves here where the hardware clips go, just a little grease. Not a lot, just enough to coat the area. This helps prevent rust from starting to build up in here under the hardware, which then can, like I was saying earlier, cause rust jacking. We're going to do this to all 4 corners here.
Now you know this time. Going big time.
Okay. Then you can take your clips and put them in. So I got this set aside here so you can see what this looks like here. I'm going to go ahead and push it down into that groove. There we go. Might have to use a screwdriver because they're a little sharp. Okay, and for viewing purposes, I'll flip it around here. Grab a couple more of these clips. And we'll go ahead and get them put in there. Okay. And grab yourself a paper towel and just clean up any of the excess grease because you don't want to get it all over your brake rotor. Okay, let's grab some pads here. Take a look at them. Sometimes there's an inner and outer pad. Just taking a look to see if there's any difference. They all look exactly the same, so I'm going to say probably not. So and this is the wear indicator here. Figure out how this goes on. I usually don't install these. I just don't even bother. Yes, these are supposed to be on there. I think these actually are supposed to be on there as for part of the pad, I guess. Okay. Like I said, first time working on one of these.
Filling in all my fingertips while I'm standing here.
Figuring it out as we go, kids. Okay. Guess these are not wear indicators. These must be just probably some kind of, I would imagine, something to dampen vibration. So these kind of just clip on like so. You'll hear them click. I don't know if you heard that. There's one pad ready. It all comes in a kit. These are power stops if you're wondering. You can do whatever brand you guys prefer. Okay. Did I do that wrong? So apparently did that wrong. Okay. Well, apparently you just put a clip on one side, but not the other. I'm sure there's a reason for that. Did I pay attention? Absolutely not. Not really sure. Okay, got that pad in. Now we're going to go ahead and get the next pad in. These clips are definitely a little tricky. Got to kind of work this clip, this spring-loaded clip here. Like that. And you got to try to get that in there. There we go. So you want your pads to be able to move freely in there. So you got those in there. Possibly doing this wrong, not sure. I didn't pay attention when I took the old ones off. Each one has its own individual clip on one side. I don't know if it matters if it's on the leading edge or not. I don't think it really is going to matter, but they're on there. Hardware is nice and lubricated. As you can see, they move freely. Everything's all cleaned up and greased, new hardware. So now your bracket and your hardware is prepared. Now we can go back out to the vehicle and go ahead and get everything reinstalled. Okay, I went ahead and popped that rotor off, just basically pulled it off. Now, your vehicle doesn't look like this one has any kind of screws that hold it on. We are going to reuse the rotors, but before I do that, I like to clean up this area real good. So I'm going to hit it with some brake clean real quick. Just clean up the hub face, get some of that old grease off there. Okay, and then I'll take my little whizzy wheel here. There's gonna be a little bit of a noise alert here in a second. Clean this wetness off here. So you want your rotor to sit nice and flush on here. So now the next step is we're gonna hit this with some more brake clean to clean it up a little bit. And then while that drip dries, we're going to work on the caliper, getting it ready and prepped. These look actually pretty clean, so that's good. Let me grab the old brake pads so we can compress them. Shaking up. Now to compress them, you usually want to open up your cap on your reservoir a little bit. Shouldn't be a big deal though, because it'll still push its way out. But a lot of controversy about this. A lot of people say you should open up the system and not push the fluid back through, but so I just use the old pad because it's no good anyway. And then use that to just go ahead and maybe, there we go, just to compress in the old piston here. We'll clean these up here in a moment. C-clamp works really well with this. Basically just going until it stops. Okay, now I can back that off. Like I said, we're going to clean up this up a little bit here. Get some of this debris off of here. I like to clean up the hat or the surface of the metal piston here too with this if you can. And then the ears are important here. Okay. Okay, give these guys a quick little spritz of the good stuff. Beautiful. Let that kind of dry there. I'm going to sit that up to the side, out of the way. Make sure there's no debris on your hub. Okay, and then I'm going to clean out the inside of the hat here, the rotor, just to make sure there's no rust build up on there. And then I'll bring you back once that's done. Okay, so we are back here. I went ahead and cleaned up the inside of the rotor there since we're reusing it. Use some surface shield or fluid film. I like to spray the hub down real good here. And the backsplash too, or the backing plate. That helps to keep the rust down. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and put that rotor back on now. We'll get it nice and cleaned up. Run that lug nut down, that'll just help hold everything in place for you. Cleaned up caliper, hang it up out of the way. Here, there we go. Okay. All right, now get your caliper bracket and mount that back on here. Now if your brake pads come flying off, it's not the end of the world. And always going back in and put them back in place again. Might be easier just to remove them in some cases. Yeah, I might just remove the brake pad. Sometimes it's just easier. Just so you can get the bracket back into place. Get your bolts. There's your 17mm. Get them screwed in. You can put Loctite on these if you want. It doesn't appear there was any on there from the factory. Probably not a horrible idea. I like to just screw them all the way down until they're snug. Then we'll go and we'll torque those down when we're done. But first we got to put our brake pads back in. Like so. Get in your view there for a minute, guys. Can't see nothing. There we go. Just slide them in there like that. And then I like to take the caliper down here and just to cut down on any squeaking or noise, and put a little lubrication on the ears of the caliper. Make sure your hose isn't twisted up. And just use some of that brake lube that you're already using and go on the hat here, or the ears. That'll help cut down on rust and any kind of noise, and then also a little bit on the piston face here too. Okay, and then you just take your caliper And get it lined up with your slider pins here, like so. Grab your 14 millimeters. Get them started. Not to go too tight, but you want them to be tight enough because you're just going into aluminum. So, okay, and then we'll tighten up those back ones now. So I believe those were 17 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to just use a ratchet to do that so we can get a good feel for how tight it is. And these back ones back here. I did not look up the specs on that. I just kind of use common sense. You want them to be tight, obviously. Okay, that's pretty much it as far as this goes. Remember to take, if you had your lug nut on here like I did to hold the rotor on, take that back off. Make sure everything's clean of any kind of grease or debris on the surface of the rotor. If you're installing new rotors, it's probably not a horrible idea to hose them off with some brake clean and a clean towel. I'll go ahead and straighten out the wheel and put our wheel and tire back on and torque those factory specs. And we will bring you back once we're ready to do that, because we're going to rotate our tires now. All right, we are all finished with the front brake pad on the 2016 Scion TC. Went ahead and got it off the lift and put the wheels back on, obviously. Torqued them. I believe they were 89 pound-feet of torque. Got those torqued on, took it for a test drive. All seems good. I'd personally recommend rotors, but he just wanted to do a quick pad slap for now and so we get some extra cash to put a full brake system on. So hope this video was somewhat resourceful for someone out there, and if you liked it, please remember to share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.